stress, you're living in survival and anger and aggression and hatred and jealousy and envy and insecurity and fear and anxiety and worry and vigilance and hopelessness and powerlessness and guilt and shame and unworthiness and entitlement, importance, control, competition. They're all derived really and driven by these hormones of stress. And so turns out that it's really hard to stop feeling those emotions because they're like an addiction. The arousal that's created from living in that emergency state consumes an enormous amount of the body's energy for some threat or some danger in the outer environment, and there's no energy in the inner environment for growth and repair. And the long-term effects of living in survival, and remember, stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of homeostasis. It's knocked out of balance. So the long-term effects of living in that chronic state of stress, the body's constantly in imbalance, and that imbalance becomes a new balance. Now the person's headed for disease because no organism can live in survival or emergency for an extended period of time. It'll consume all its energy. There's no vital force for growth and repair, for long-term building projects. So I started really studying what stress does. And you could have the perfect diet and take all the vitamins and all the peptides and time it all. And you can do, high-intensity training and fasting and yoga and massage and chiropractic and acupuncture. But if you're living in constant fear emotionally and you're thinking about your problems and your thought about your problems is turning on the same stress response as if you're being chased by a lion, or your reaction to a coworker is producing the same chemical change as if there were some threat in your environment. What was once very adaptive becomes very maladaptive because turning on that stress response and never giving the body a chance to turn it off, to bring it back into balance, is disease. So I discovered that people get addicted to the rush of these chemicals, and they use the problems and conditions in their life to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. And on some level, they become addicted to the life they don't even like, and that's why it's really hard to change. Because when you break an addiction, you go through cravings. And the addiction is when the body has been conditioned to be the mind. And it's looking for its familiar chemistry, for an arousal that takes away whatever it is the person's feeling in terms of emptiness or whatever. So I got fascinated because if you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, and the long-term effects downregulate genes and create disease, then our thoughts can make us sick. And I was like, oh my God, these people realized innately that when they forgave, what is forgiveness? When I discovered it was just overcoming the emotion. You just finish the emotion and now you have wisdom, because the memory without the emotional charge is called wisdom. And when you overcome the emotion, no longer have your attention on that person or problem, and it's all okay, right? So free the body from the chains of the past and it can become renewed again.